Good afternoon, Cross Timbers. Today is Wednesday, November 16, 2016, and I am Alejandra Araguin. In campus news, Tarleton State University Police Department announced Christine Bent as their second female to be promoted to sergeant in the agency's history. Bent is a native of Cisco, Texas, and has master's and instructor certification from the Texas Commission of Law Enforcement. She attended West Central Texas Region Training Center's Law Enforcement Academy in Abilene and earned her bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Tarleton in 2015. Bent joined at Tarleton's Police Department 16 years ago. During her time, she has served as a patrol officer and the agency's lead detective. Bent has also overseen the department's semi-annual Rape Aggression Defense Course, otherwise known as RAD, and she also serves as a certified field training officer and is the department's use of force policy instructor. In local news, according to the Steamboat Empire Tribune, the Steamboat Public Library will hold 3 events this week. The director of Steamboat Public Library, Mary Meredith, announced that the annual Feast of Treats will be held on Thursday at 6:30. The event will include stories, a craft, and a feast of Thanksgiving-themed treats. Anyone wanting to participate is asked to reserve a seat by contacting the public library. Then on Friday, the library's new Steamboat Public Library Film Club will be introduced. A movie that is selected by the club members will be shown, and a discussion will be held afterwards. Finally, on Saturday at 2 p.m., the library will host a showing of Finding Dory. Popcorn and ocean-themed snacks will be served at the showing. No reservations will be required for this event. And now today's Texas national and international news from the Associated Press. Police say the 40-year-old victim was hospitalized in good condition after being shot Tuesday morning. Houston police say a 10-year-old boy shot his father through the back of the driver's seat as the man took his son and his same-age sibling to school. A police statement says at some point, the boy pulled a pistol from his backpack and shot his father once. The child's 10-year-old sister was also in the vehicle. Police detained the boy for questioning. No charges were immediately filed. In national news, a 16-year-old boy is now in custody after stabbing 5 students yesterday inside the boys' locker room at a Utah high school. The stabbing of the male student happened at 8 a.m. at Mountain View High School. The suspect was apprehended shortly after a stabbing by a police officer. Students at the school described a gruesome scene with victims covered in blood running from the locker room. The school was put on lockdown after the stabbing for about an hour. Students were later allowed to remain in school or leave for the day. All the victims were stabbed at least once and were being treated for their injuries at local hospitals. The victims remain in fair to critical condition, but none of the injuries considered life-threatening. In international news, the AP reports that pro-Syrian government forces pushed on with their bombardment of the Syrian city of Aleppo today, the second day of a massive offensive against the city's rebel-held eastern quarters. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Monitoring Group said 20 civilians had been. Local activists counted at least 50 artillery and airstrikes since this morning. The UN estimates that pro-government forces have trapped some 275,000 people in Aleppo's eastern quarters in a strict blockade enforced since August. Ground and air forces destroyed the area's hospital. The UN warned last week that food rations inside Aleppo's rebel-held districts could be depleted this week. For more of national or international news, we turn to the AP News Minute.
This is AP News Minute. President-elect Donald Trump came out of his New York skyscraper for the first time in days, going out to dinner. The journalists who were expected to travel with the president-elect were not notified. President Obama visited the Acropolis in Athens, Greece. He's on what's expected to be his last foreign trip as president. Oklahoma City police investigators are trying to figure out why a man ambushed and shot dead an airline employee at Will Rogers World Airport. The suspected gunman apparently killed himself afterwards. And a massive anchor was raised from the Detroit River after spending 60 years underwater. The 6,000-pound anchor was from a cruise ship called the Greater Detroit, which ferried passengers around the Great Lakes. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press, with AP News Minute.
Today's weather forecast is brought to you by Weather.com. You can expect sunny skies with a high of 84 degrees with a humidity level at 38% and winds coming from southwest at 9 miles per hour. Tonight we'll have clear skies with a low of 56 degrees and winds still coming from the southwest at 9 miles per hour. Today's broadcast was produced by Sydney Burns, Rebecca Hernandez, and Quinizia Frazier. You can follow us at www.texanews.net for all your latest campus, local, state, and national news. Tune in tomorrow for the latest news from the Tarleton State University campus in Steenville, Texas.